Abraham Lincoln is remembered as the president who oversaw the North's victory over the Confederacy in the American Civil War. He's one of the greatest presidents in the history of the United States and battled depression for most of his life. It is hard to overstate the importance of Ludwig van Beethoven. In fact, Beethoven is widely viewed as the greatest composer who ever lived. He revolutionized music, and yet he was bipolar. Edvard Munch was a Norwegian painter, most famous for his 4 versions of the Scream, which is depicted in this video. He suffered from bipolar disorder with psychosis and once reflected, "Illness, insanity, and death were the black angels that kept watch over my cradle and accompanied me all my life." He explored his mental illnesses through his art. Sir Isaac Newton was a shining light of the scientific revolution of the 17th century. He made great contributions to science, along with making great contributions to mathematics. Despite being the father of modern science, he suffered from manic depression. Sir Winston Churchill was an inspirational leader of Britain during World War II. He was most known for his uncompromising attitude to Adolf Hitler, and his public bravery inspired both soldiers and those on the home front not to surrender to the threat of Germany. What many don't know is that he had an extreme version of depression and called it his black dog. Vincent van Gogh was a Dutch painter, unrecognized in his lifetime. At the time, he suffered from truly difficult mental health issues, most importantly, manic depression. His life as a struggling artist was extremely difficult, but he was inspired to continue by his mission to give the wretched a brotherly message through his paintings. Perhaps Baltimore's most famous resident, Edgar Allan Poe produced a wonderful literary oeuvre which contains much-loved poems such as The Raven and the world's first detective story, The Murders in the Rue Morgue. Elements of his work, such as The Doomed House of Usher and The Pendulum in the Nightmarish Pit and the Pendulum, still occupy the darkest corners of Western cultural consciousness. He suffered from bipolar disorder and alcoholism. One of America's great novelists, Ernest Hemingway, suffered from bipolar disorder and alcoholism. He is remembered for works such as For Whom the Bell Tolls and the Pulitzer Prize-winning The Old Man and the Sea. He was one of the world's greatest novelists, but eventually took his own life after decades of mental trauma. Nikola Tesla was a trailblazing inventor who battled with mental illness. We have a lot to thank Nikola Tesla for. Born in modern-day Croatia, Tesla added practical experience at the Edison Machine Works to his years of dedicated academic study. Most notably, Tesla had obsessive-compulsive disorder. He used 18 napkins at each meal, walked 3 times around a building before entering it, and only occupied hotel rooms with numbers divisible by 3. He also suffered from hallucinations after witnessing his brother trampled to death by a horse, to which he credited many of his inventions. Not only did all of these notable figures suffer from some form of mental illness, but they also fought their demons in times when mental illness was not yet understood or accepted. Yet this did not stop them from following their dreams and changing the world despite the odds being against them. If they can change the world despite their mental disabilities, you can too.